Okay, so first is just the title page. This is your budgeting project. This is the introduction. Congratulations, you've just graduated from college or university. Some of you are starting off in an entry-level job. Some of you will be working in a service industry. Some are lucky enough to find a good paying job right away. You don't have to worry about coming up with a hypothetical job though, okay? You guys all have found a job. And I'm giving you a salary. Most of you have student debt and a balance on your credit card because of being in college or university. In this assignment, you're going to be using what you've learned in class to research a monthly budget. This budget is used to support only yourself. Okay, so you're not going to have dependents, and you do need to completely support yourself. So you can't live with your parents. Before you begin creating the budget, it's recommended you do some research on the different percentages for your budget. So how much of your budget should be rent, how much of it should be your car utilities, how much of it should be food. Do a little bit of just some quick research on what do the different parts of the budget tend to look like. And then you're just going to jump right on into the project. I sent you yes.
Makai's coming. I think something happened to his Wi-Fi.
Okay, actually, I think he's in the call now. Makai, you're there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I hit just in time. You guys should have received an EDSB message from me with a salary number, an OSAP loan number, and a credit card debt number. Okay, I'm going to go over that in a minute, but everybody got their own unique set of information in an EDSB message. You're going to research the 12 components listed in the next section. You're going to use a monthly budget calculator to come up with a balanced budget, and you're going to put together a presentation of all the components of your budget. I don't care if you use a PowerPoint or Google Slides or whatever, a document even, but you are going to put together a Flipgrid recording of your presentation. I have put the Flipgrid link on EDSB, and I'll remind you guys how to use that later on. Here's the 12 components of the project. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to decide where hypothetically do you think you want to live. So find a city and a province. We're going to stay in Canada though, because I'm giving you a Canadian salary. So pick a Canadian city and province. And I'm not super worried about where you pick, but just go with something that's interesting. This is like a little bit of a snapshot into your adult life, okay? So you need to first decide the city and province, because that's going to dictate how much money is taken off of taxes and also your cost of living. So Toronto is really expensive, and also Vancouver is really expensive. Like, kind of avoid those areas and maybe live close to them, but not right in those expensive areas. So number one, you're going to find a city and a province. Number two, you're going to find out how much is the government going to take off of your salary. You're going to click on this link. This link will take you to a website, and it's going to help you figure out your income after taxes. I'm just going to go there too, so you guys can see what that looks like. So you will go to this website. You're going to put in the amount of money that I have sent to you in your EDSB message. So this is just default to 52,000. But if it's, if you got 50 or 49 or whatever your number is, put it here. It says per year, that's fine, leave it that way, because that's how much you're getting paid per year. And then you're gonna have to choose, where are you living? If you choose to live out in Prince Edward Island, click on that. If you're staying in Ontario, click on that, okay? Pick the right province. And then the key is pick the month tab, so that you know how much of your salary you have for the month. You're making a monthly budget. So here in this scenario, if I had 52,000, I lived in Ontario, I'm actually only working with $3,381 a month. The government is taking almost $1,000 in taxes. I would strongly recommend you guys screenshot every single bit of information that you find on the internet. So I would screenshot this and put it in my Google Slides or my PowerPoint or whatever it is I'm using. Okay, so step number one, pick a city and a province. Record that somewhere. Step number two, put your money in here and find out how much you're working with. Then if you want to right away put in your salary, so here I'm working with $3,381. I can actually put that in my budget calculator My monthly income is the 3,381. I don't have any other income. So Brianna, you can't have a side bracket here. Okay. We're going to assume you're just working with the numbers I've given you. And then if you're working with the budget calculator, when you hit next, it gives you all of these options here for what would be normal housing expenses. So I'm going to go into that next. So the monthly, the budget calculator will actually walk you through all these different components. Next, you're going to find somewhere to live. You may not live with your parents. That's the very first sentence here. So you're going to find an apartment, a condo. You can rent in a house. I would strongly recommend not buying a house and working with a mortgage right now because it gets complicated and it's really not that affordable for somebody who's living on their own. So find a place to rent. And then when you find it, and I can give you some good websites to work with, screenshot all of that information so that it's like, this is what the apartment looks like. Please don't go with anything sketchy. Don't rent a random one room in some random house. Guys, please think about this is a possible future for yourself and go with something that oh, that looks like a nice, cute, clean little apartment. Okay, in maybe a nice area of the town you want to live in, but don't go with sketch. Don't go with the cheapest just because it's cheap. Okay, screenshot that information. Once you have it, let's say you know your rent, you're going to put that in your budget calculator. Right here under rent, maybe it's $750 a month. You put that in there. If there is internet fees, cable TV, water, gas, electricity, all those different things, you can put that in here. Read the rental agreement very carefully. Sometimes it's all of the utilities are included. Sometimes it's not. So you need to make sure you research all of that part of your housing. And that's part of number 4. What are your utilities and monthly bills? Electricity, water, heat, phone, internet, cable. A lot of students now have just picked Netflix, and that's fine, but find out how much it costs. We're not mooching off of anyone. Okay. Then mode of transportation. How are you going to get around? If you have a car, you need to look up car insurance, gas, and maintenance. If you don't have a car, choose public transit. Look at what's a bus pass cost for Mississauga and put in a monthly bus pass. Okay. If you think you're going to do an Uber or you're going to do a taxi every once in a while, count that in as your mode of transportation. And you can put that into your budget calculator as well. Screenshot any information you find. On here, I have a backup fund for emergency trips. Might be a good idea too. If you plan on going to visit your parents or your siblings, think about that. And maybe you need to start budgeting. I'm going to put aside $50 every month so I can make that trip once a year or whatever it is. Okay. So please think about that too. Then the fun part, I have given you 2 kinds of debt. I have given you an OSAP loan and I've given you a credit card debt. All of the information I've given you is on Ontario averages for first year, just recently graduated university and college students. These numbers are actually normal. It's normal for students to walk away with OSAP loans. That stands for Ontario Student something. I don't actually know what the AP stands for, student loans. That's money that you can use towards your education. And often students walk away with credit card debt. You need to figure out how to pay those off. The first one is this OSAP loan calculator right here. So I'm going to show you guys what that looks like. Does anybody remember how much their OSAP loan is off the top of their head that I gave them?
Mine is 27,962.
Okay. So that's normal, Sasha. I'm not trying to wreck your life. Okay. So just think about people walk away with almost $30,000 in OSAP loans. So I just plugged in Sasha's numbers. You guys can play around with how long you want to take to pay this off. It says right here, the average to pay it off for most people is almost a decade. So guys, think about that. If you graduate university at 22, 23 years old, you're paying for that until you're about 30, your young 30s. That's crazy. So play around with that first. This is in months, so I'm just going to put in 114 here, and let's see what that would cost Sasha then.
What if you just never paid it?
Then you will get your credit rating gets affected. Nobody will give you a loan, and you'll have tax collectors coming after you. You can't just not pay a loan, Tegan.
Oh.
So for Sasha here, if she pays it off in 9.5 years, she's going to be paying $285 a month. If you decrease the amount of time, if you want to pay it off faster, your monthly payment goes up. So see what you think you can afford. So if Sasha leaves this at, I'm going to pay it back in 9.5 years, 114 months, she's going to put $285 into her budget calculator for career student loans. So what did I say that was? 285. Student loans, 285. She's going to put that right in there. And again, screenshot everything. Take a screenshot of this page, put it in your information. Okay. For the credit card debt, you guys can choose whatever bank you want to go with. Maybe ask your parents. Do they bank at TD, Scotiabank, Royal Bank of Canada, whatever, it doesn't matter, but you need to kind of look around and see what's the normal interest rate and how do you pay that back, because you also have a credit card debt. In here, I have decided which debt to pay off first. The one with the higher interest rate, you're going to want to get rid of first. And it is more than likely going to be your credit card. So even put that in your information, think it through, pay off the highest interest rate first. Then what a lot of accountants encourage people to do is that once you've paid off your credit card, you can then snowball and you can put that amount that you were paying toward your student debt and pay it off faster, because you now have a little bit of extra money to, at your resources. Groceries, you have to eat. I would suggest talk to your parents. If you're a family, so we're a family of 5, I could take the amount of money we typically pay for my family in a week and divide it by 5. That's on average what I would need for one person. So you can also talk to your parents, put that in your information if you do. You know, my mom or dad told me we spend X amount of money on groceries. I divided this by the number of people in my household. I would need approximately X amount of dollars a month to feed myself. Okay, so remember, this is a monthly budget. So if you think you need $100 a week, then that's $400 a month, okay? Then you're gonna also think about donating. I want you to think about even a small amount every month going to a charitable donation. It could be your church, it could be sick kids, it could be Red Cross, it could be some kind of a disaster relief right now. Just think about that. I want you guys to also be thinking externally and how you can benefit the rest of the world around us, even if it's, you know, $10 a month. Think about that. Medical and toiletries. I am going to assume you have full medical coverage through your work and through the Canadian government, but you need Tylenol, Advil, allergy meds for those of us that suffer with allergies. If there's medicine that you currently have to buy that is extra. So for me, I have to buy iron because I am anemic. That does not get covered by my medical plan. Think about that and put it into your budget. Make this realistic for you. So again, ask your parents. They may know better there. And also toiletries, toothpaste, toilet paper, soap, shampoo. If you want to ask your parents again, you can talk to them, but think about all of these extra things that you need for being a hygienic person. Then, yes.
You have to like make a list and like write out shampoo cost this much, conditioner cost this much, and this is where I got this total from.
I've had some people do that. It does take you a little bit of time, but you could also just ask your parents, like, what would you think is a good amount of money per month to make sure I keep my medicine cabinet stocked for the things that I need, and then also my toiletries, cleaning products, and those kind of things. Okay. So Lauren, like, do a bit of research, but you maybe don't have to go in complete depth with a list.
Okay.
Okay. After you've done all of that, you guys are kind of in the, I should know how much money I have left over part of my budget. So savings. If let's say you have $150 left over every month, that's not allocated to something. There's a phrase in budgeting that if you don't allocate every penny to something, it will just disappear. You'll spend it on something because you haven't decided this extra nickel goes to this extra thing. So you're going to make sure your budget exactly equals 0. Everything is allocated to something. So savings. Do you want to save for a possible future wedding or buying a house or a car? Or do you want kids someday and you think about their tuition or their wedding, or maybe it's a vacation? Have one saving goal. Then you can think about, with your extra money, entertainment. So will I go to the movies when we can do these things in a normal lifetime? Will I go out for dinner with my friends? You know, how much do I think I need for clothing? Do some, you know, these fun things with your extra money. Anything that's surplus, decide where you're putting it, even if you want to intentionally just mark it as emergency. So this is my emergency fund set aside in this specific part of my savings account, so I can use it for whatever comes up. You know, if my car breaks down, or my good friend needs me to fly out to visit her because she's having a really hard time right now, I've got this extra money set aside. So every cent of your salary is going to be allocated to something. So this is the rundown. You're going to use these different websites I've given you. You're going to start a Google slide or Google Doc or PowerPoint. Number one, literally the first slide is where you're going to live. Number two, screenshot how much money you have to work with every month after taxes. Slide number three, find a place to live. Literally do these one at a time and work through this project. What questions do we have?
I have a question about the living arrangement. When I'm finding somewhere I want to live, am I actually going on like a actual, you know, real estate website and finding a home?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you are. And Sasha, that brings me to something I forgot to say. You can have a roommate, but if you have a roommate, you have to find now a 2-bedroom apartment. Okay, so it will initially be in a more expensive apartment if there's an extra bedroom in it, but then you split the full cost in 2. You can even split your utilities in 2. So there is a little bit of a caveat. If you want to have a roommate, it can even be somebody in this class. That's fine, but it has to then be a 2-bedroom apartment. Okay, and Sasha, I can give you some websites on how to find those apartments and places. Please remember, nothing sketchy. I want to imagine your future as a safe and enjoyable and pleasant place to live. Other questions?
Wait, so do you actually have to find like an actual apartment?
Yeah.
Like, right now?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the last thing we're doing all year, right?
And then we have our culminating, our open book culminating. I don't really want to call it an exam, Lauren, but it's your multiple choice knowledge-based component, which we'll have all of next week to review, and then that's the week after.
So are we